It's Prime Minister Modi versus the opposition ahead of the inauguration of the new parliament building. Making a big statement on opposition unity, 20 parties have come together to say they will not be attending the inauguration of the new Parliament House. The House will be inaugurated and opened by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, the opposition argues, so this is because it should have been the President Murmu, who should have been doing the honors instead of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, they point out, has already laid the foundation stone. The BJP is calling this cheap politics, pointing to examples from the past where Indira Gandhi, for example, inaugurated the Parliament House Annex and Rajiv Gandhi the Parliament House Library. The Congress is arguing that you cannot compare the Annex with the main Parliament House. The BJP is also talking about the Sengol, the historic Sengol that you see on your screen at this moment. Nehru held it in 1947 in a powerful symbol of the transfer of power from the British to the Indian free nation. And the Prime Minister and the government has now pulled out the Sengol from a dusty corner of the Allahabad Museum where it was wrongly labeled to be the Prime Minister Nehru's walking stick. Prime Minister Modi will be handed over the Sengol, again making a powerful symbol of change and of what the BJP has called moving from the old India to the new India. To try and understand the politics, the symbolism, and the history and the historicity of this moment, let's introduce our guests on the program today. We have two very, very vocal, eloquent guests, and I'm hoping for a robust but an always civil debate. We're joined by Shehzad Poonawalla, who's of course the national spokesperson and leader of the BJP, and we are joined by Salman Soz, who's a spokesperson and leader of the Congress party. Before I get comments from either of you, I would like to play out for you just a short 1-minute clip of what the Prime Minister said as he returned from Australia. The Prime Minister pointed to a kind of political unity that he witnessed in Australia. He didn't say in so many words that it is missing in India, but the reference was obvious. He was speaking about the community event that he addressed in Australia, and this is what he said. Okay, I'm hoping that you could actually hear the Prime Minister making a very powerful point there about rising above politics. Shehzad, let me actually bring you in at this point. The Prime Minister's own argument, right? The fact that there are moments that transcend politics. The opposition would argue that the BJP is not doing that at this very moment because the Prime Minister should have at least included the president, if not had the president lead this inauguration. What would you say, Shehzad?
Barkha, first of all, what the Prime Minister is alluding to is the fact that this is a moment of history and Rashtra and therefore there's no real place for any kind of Rajniti. But unfortunately, look at the pattern, Barkha, if I may just dwell on that for 10-15 seconds. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which is the celebration of the historically great icons of this country, and many of them belong to the Congress, including Sardar Patel. Has the Congress even by mistake celebrated Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav even on one occasion? No. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. It's about cleaning the country. Clean Gujarat as much as clean Chhattisgarh. But have they participated in this except for, say, a Shashi Tharoor who's a rebel without a cause? I don't think anybody substantial in the Congress party has even tweeted about it. Beti Bachao, all of these programs which are in national interest or they are in a sense of national importance have been boycotted or opposed by the Congress for petty political gains. And this is yet another instance of it. And let me give you just 20 seconds of why the Congress, while we build the temple of democracy, is the mother of hypocrisy. In 2012 and 2013, it was the Honorable Jairam Ramesh and Meera Kumarji who mooted the idea of a new parliament building as a priority. What was priority then becomes vanity today. Today, those who are saying that the president should be inaugurating it, I just have 2 or 3 simple questions for them. If that is the constitutional scheme of things, forget the instances of Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi which you've cited. That's not the only part. The fact of the matter is that in various state assemblies, I can recount at least Chhattisgarh, and I will show you a very interesting picture if you allow me to. The Chhattisgarh assembly building was inaugurated by Sonia Gandhi and has the name of Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi MPs on the plaque. In what locus or what capacity? Manipur was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji. Tamil Nadu was inaugurated by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji and Sonia Gandhi. So my limited question, Barkha, is that what is this constitutional scheme which becomes an insult for the president if the speaker invites the prime minister, but you go and inaugurate assembly buildings in states? That is not insult of the governor or the insult of the constitution at that point of time. And finally, I am so touched with their newfound respect for Draupadi Murmu ji. I just wish it was there 3 months ago when they boycotted her speech. I wish it was there a few months ago when their leader said Draupadi Murmu has an evil mindset. And I wish it prevailed on them when we were having this historic election of Draupadi Murmu ji, where they actually voted for Yashwant Sinha. And the less said about that candidate, the better.
Let me ask you this before I get Salman Soz to respond, Shehzad. Let's assume for a moment that the Congress created a political culture where Sonia Gandhi enjoyed powers that the elected prime minister did not. Let's assume for a moment that the examples that you cite from history, Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, inaugurating different wings of the parliament, the annex, the library, bypassing the president, though President Giri did lay the foundation stone 5 years earlier in the Indira Gandhi incident you talk about. Let's say the Congress did it all wrong. Should the BJP making a mistake that it believes that the Congress made? That's, I think, the question. Let's say the Congress literally created an extra constitutional authority in Mrs. Gandhi. Why would the BJP not want President Murmu to be present at this moment? Maybe lead this moment together with the Prime Minister. It's a big moment for the country.
First of all, I did not say that the instances of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi or Prime Minister Manmohan Singh were wrong in any
I think we lost Shehzad there. I'm sure he'll...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Barkha, just to reiterate my statement, I did not say that Indira Gandhi ji, Rajiv Gandhi ji or Manmohan Singh ji were wrong, even though I questioned the locus standard of Sonia Gandhi, an ordinary MP, to do that. I did not say that Manmohan Singh or Indira Gandhi ji were wrong. So let's get that clear. I think that they were right in their time for doing that. And I'll tell you why Prime Minister Modi being invited by the Speaker. It is the Speaker's prerogative. The Speaker is invited. But let me explain to you why it is right. One of the arguments cited by the leaders of the Congress was that it is the Honorable President who is proroguing and summoning Parliament. But today we are not talking about a session of Parliament. We are talking about the building of Parliament. The building of Parliament is not Parliament in action. And therefore, it attracts no constitutional provisions. In fact, many officials who have served in Parliament will explain to you, and even I have had the privilege of serving in Parliament. Parliament building and its construction is an executive function that now the Speaker has invited the Prime Minister to inaugurate. The parliamentary procedure, which is constitutionally enshrined, where articles dictate that the President summons Parliament. Now, if that was to be replaced and the Prime Minister was summoning Parliament, I could understand the Congress taking umbrage to that. But that is not the case. So let's draw a distinction between Parliament's building, which is an executive act, and Parliament's functioning, which is constitutional.
Okay, I think that's a fair argument. And Salman, while the opposition may believe that this is a moment to make a larger political statement on opposition unity, let's make no bones about the fact that this is politics. Because as Shehzad Poonawalla points out, if there was so much respect for the office of the president, you would not have boycotted her address a few months ago, point one. Point two. Hypothetically, if the president's office were to issue a statement in the next 24 hours that the president has absolutely no issue and that she doesn't believe that the opposition should be creating this sort of rift in Indian politics ahead of such a historic inaugural, would you still ask for a boycott?
Barkha, first, I think I would not be shocked, by the way, if the president's office came out with a statement like that, because let's face it. Remember what Satyapal Malik said about going to meet the president, and basically the prime minister's office clears who meets the president and who does not. Look,
isn't that undermining the agency of the president? I mean, well, I'm sure the president would take great offense at quoting Satyapal Malik. We don't have her word for it. I'd rather take her word for it.
No, but why would you not take the word of the governor who was appointed by Prime Minister Modi? Be that as it may, let me just go to the bigger issue here. You're building a home, and you're basically telling the head of the household that when we build this home, which, by the way, this Parliament House is going to be, it is this temple of democracy. You're not going to invite the head of the household, not for the foundation laying ceremony, and not for the inauguration of the home. Who is this home for? The Constitution is pretty clear, as far as I can tell, that there shall be a parliament for the Union, which shall consist of the President and two houses to be known respectively as the Council of States and the House of the People. This is not the Lok Sabha. This is the Parliament of India. The President is the one without whose assent you cannot have a law in this country. So what are you building this for? How can you keep the head of the household out? You're building a temple of democracy, but you're telling the chief priest, you cannot come to the foundation laying ceremony. You cannot come to the inauguration of the temple because I'm building a temple of democracy. So I don't really understand what is the problem for the BJP to invite the president. Why not invite the president? This is such a momentous occasion. Why not invite the vice president, who's the chairman of the Rajya Sabha? Why not? Is Parliament House the Lok Sabha? It's not.
I will put that to Shehzad in a moment, but I have a question for you. Naveen Patnaik had a very interesting position. Naveen Patnaik, Jagan Reddy are among those, and the Akali Dal that will be attending this inauguration. And Mr. Patnaik's party issued, I thought, a very logical statement. Raise your differences within this house. Attend the inauguration and then raise your differences. All of these points that you're raising, make them part of a debate inside the house.
Look, Barkha, though this is a building right now. Buildings don't really matter. What matters is what happens in these buildings, right? That's what these institutions are for. That's why we're building these institutions. But what democracy, what debate is Mr. Patnaik talking about? It's a very convenient way. Everybody's going through these contortions to somehow let Mr. Modi off the hook. But the fact of the matter is that when you raise in Parliament issues about issues that matter to the people of this country, you ask about the Chinese occupation of Indian lands, and they call you anti-national. You ask about inflation, and they say we don't eat onions. You ask about jobs, they said pakode talo. Remember, this is the government. This government that talks about India being a mother of democracy, imprisoned the entire political leader of my state and dismembered it, without any debate, without any discussion with the people who were affected. They passed laws without debate during 2000.
Sections of your own party, I just wanted to make the point, the sections of your own party supported the amendment to 370.
I'm just saying who imprisoned, did which sections? You talk of the sections as if it's the entire party or something. Just like Shehzad talked about my friend Shashi and Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Similarly, there may be people in the party who may have supported that. But
Okay.
did they arrest my father? Did they arrest the entire political leadership? Is that democracy? Is that what they call being a democratic country? They passed the farm laws, no debate, and they had to take that back, right? So
Okay,
you
let me bring in
disqualify
Shehzad.
MPs, you suspend MPs, you do not let them speak, you mute their mics, and then.
But are you therefore saying that you're never going to take part in a parliamentary proceeding again? You just won.
Absolutely not. We are going to
Okay.
this parliament, and we are going to vigorously raise issues
Let's come back.
that are about the people of this country. But
Let's come-
at the same time, should the Prime Minister not answer one basic question?
Okay.
Why? The Prime Minister said about Australia, about his visit to Australia, main wahan gaya, ruling party was there, opposition was there, everybody was respecting the Prime Minister. I asked the Prime Minister, the parliament of this country is being inaugurated. Where is the president of this country? Where is the vice president and the chairman of the Rajya Sabha? What is this?
Let me get Shehzad. I think you've made a lot of passionate critiques there. Mr. Poonawalla must come in. Shehzad, do go ahead. I think the distinction that you make is a legitimate one, and in terms of law, that's correct. But in terms of the spirit of the moment, the question can be asked: why not the vice president and the president? What would it take for the BJP to be also generous or gracious? Is the point the opposition or Salman Soz is making?
Let me turn the argument on its head and let's delve into history a little bit, because the building that we are talking about, the current parliament building, was built and inaugurated in 1927. Barkha, do you know who inaugurated that building? By the way, congressmen, including the likes of Swargya Motilal Nehruji, were present at that inauguration. They took no umbrage that the fact that the perpetuation of colonial legacy in that sense, because that time it was not envisaged as a building of free India, was done by Viceroy Lord Irwin. Not even the colonial head in that sense, the king. So the Congress, by the same yardstick, should have taken umbrage on two counts. One, that this was a perpetuation of colonial legacy, which they apparently were fighting against. And secondly, that it was not being done by the real head of the constitutional scheme of things for them at that time, which is the king, but in fact was being done by the executive, who was the viceroy. And therefore, this kind of argument makes no sense. Let me tell you why. The Congress party today talks about what is happening inside parliament. Salman drifted to a lot of arguments. Salman, during the UPA tenure, and I have the news reports to show you. Here's, if you could just put me back on screen.
Yeah. Can we cut back to Shehzad? There you are. Yeah.
UPA passed one bill every 4 minutes, right? Hindustan Times, right? So this is the legacy of the UPA. We all know how they passed a large number of bills, including the Andhra Pradesh bifurcation law. So let's not get into how. And these are people who come from the legacy of emergency. The only time Parliament was reduced to a rubber stamp. By the way, when did the term rubber stamp president even come into play? It came into play the first time when Indira Ji did not go with her official president candidate of Congress party and led another presidential candidate who won against the official Congress candidate. And then we also know during the emergency how proclamations were signed. There's a vivid cartoon that has been drawn to describe that entire affair. So who reduced the president to a nominal rubber stamp? Let's forget that. Mr. Salman Soz is today becoming very heavy about constitution. Let me ask him a point on history or historical fact. Who headed the Constituent Assembly of Baba Saheb Ambedkar? Sri Rajendra Prasad, who was also the first president of India, and who was inaugurating all the important installations at that time. Was it the head of the Constituent Assembly, or was it the head of in the Republic of India that was the president, or was it Mr. Nehru? How come when you do it, it is chamatkar, and how come when others do it, they become gunegar? I am not saying that, look, this is the speaker's prerogative, who the speaker felt fit to invite. I would also go ahead and ask one question. If the speaker was, some people suggested speaker should inaugurate it. Why should only the speaker then inaugurate it? We also have a chairperson of Rajya Sabha, who is the vice president of India. Then the question can arise equally that why not the chairperson of Rajya Sabha? Because both houses stand at the same pedestal. This kind of argument will never stop. This is a parliamentary building. It is constructed as an act of executive function. The executive head of the country, invited by the head of the legislature, in that sense the speaker, is coming there to inaugurate it. Nobody is being slighted. Nobody is being offended. It is a precedent that we followed in other installations, including the assemblies of various states. You can't have a standard there and a standard here. You should have had the same standard in both places, or else today you lose the right, and you lose the right particularly because your entire stand against the President of India, the current President of India, has been one that is marked by only insults and very demeaning commentary. So, Salman, I think that we should get rid of the hypocrisy and forget convincing Shehzad. Convince Mr. Ram Gopal Yadav of the Samajwadi Party and convince Acharya Pramod Krishnam, whose bite I can see play out on television. He says, if not the Prime Minister of India, will it be Prime Minister of Pakistan or Prime Minister of Italy?
I was just going to, in fact, ask Salman exactly about Acharya Pramod, otherwise a passionate Congress supporter, who said exactly this, Salman. If the Prime Minister of India does not inaugurate the building, will it be the Prime Minister of Pakistan? There are critics of this government who believe that the Congress is making, not just the Congress, the opposition is making a fatal error, that you're out of sync with the mood of people who would want this to be a celebratory moment. And question 3 about Nehru. I think we must go back for a moment to the Senghol and Jawaharlal Nehru. And the fact that we know now that the Senghol, that was this powerful symbol of the transfer of power from the British to Jawaharlal Nehru, was lying in an Allahabad museum, wrongly labeled to be the walking stick of India's first Prime Minister, pulled out from there and will be reconferred, as it were, on Prime Minister Modi on the 28th. Nehru received this. You can see those images from the past. These are classic, iconic images. This was not the President of India who received the Senghol. It was the Prime Minister of India. Why was it okay for Nehru? Why was it okay for Nehru and not the President at that moment? And why is it not okay for Prime Minister Modi?
Well, first, Barkha, let me just say that given that we are delving into history, and Shehzad talked about the inauguration of the old Parliament building, which will be the old Parliament building. It was at a time when neither Shehzad's parents were alive, they were not born yet, and nor were mine, and nor were yours. We should be respectful of those who have struggled for India when we and our parents were not even born. So we should be careful about how we speak about others. Now, I'm not surprised, by the way, that the BJP would like to follow in the footsteps of the British. By the way, this inauguration is going to be on a date when one of their visionaries, so to speak, who was famous for writing love letters to the British, they're going to inaugurate it on that gentleman's
Savarkar's birth anniversary. Yes.
So, and by the way, the illustration of the Senghol, I mean, that's, in some ways it just tells you the party that accuses us of not being, in line with the traditions of India is now using that moment, which was celebrating India's traditions, as a way of justifying something that is totally ridiculous, that they cannot invite the President of India, the head of Parliament, to the inauguration of the new Parliament building. This is totally, it's a pattern for this party, because they have become basically slaves to a one-man event management company. That's what they.
But you aren't answering the question. Why was it okay for Nehru? I'm talking about the Parliament building was already there. This is now we're building a new Parliament building. This is not a Parliament annex, by the way, for which you must have seen that Mr. V.V. Giri, the then president, was laid the foundation stone, right? This is not the library. This is all of Parliament. This is a new Parliament building. It's a momentous occasion. But I'm not really surprised. There's a pattern here, right? When the National War Memorial was inaugurated, where was the Supreme Commander of India's forces? Where was President Ram Nath Kovind? Was he invited? No. Now you'll have the Prime Minister, and he goes in and takes these pictures of this new Parliament building, one man in this big hall from different angles. That's what has happened. What does a boycott achieve? I'll get Shehzad to respond to that. What does a boycott achieve? What does a boycott achieve?
I will tell you what it achieves. It basically sends a message. The message is that we will not dignify the undignified. It is totally undignified to not involve the President and the Vice President of India in the inauguration of India's new Parliament House. It is totally undignified. We will not dignify it. And the point is, if you said something about how this will be fatal, and people may not judge it correctly, Let me remind you, Barkha, things have changed, times have changed.
Okay.
Just
I just
2 days back, a very reputable polling house came out with new polling on likability of Prime Minister Modi and Rahul Gandhi. 40% for Prime Minister Modi, 41% for Rahul Gandhi. Then they looked at dislikes about these two leaders.
You're talking about the NDTV CSDS survey.
Yes, it's the CSDS poll, and CSDS is not a Congress house. So I think times are changing, and they've seen the Prime Minister went to Karnataka when he should have been trying to douse the fires in Manipur.
Okay. Can I bring in Shehzad? But I just want to say,
they got routed.
If I remember the survey,
about where they are now, what their position is, they think that 2024 will be a cakewalk. I don't think so.
Can I come in? The same survey that you said, Shehzad will respond to the rest of what you said, but if I remember correctly, and our producers can pull this out, the same survey that you quote actually places the Prime Minister's popularity at double that of Rahul Gandhi. The likability is a different graph that you're quoting from, right? There was also like and can't say, won't say. This is what I remember, right, Salman? But in terms of who is poised to be the next Prime Minister, I'm pretty sure, and we'll just pull that out for you. I'm pretty sure, can we pull that out, guys? I'm pretty sure that the Prime Minister was kind of handsomely ahead in those findings, and we'll have that. Hang on, Salman. We'll come back to the survey. There's a lot of other things you said. Let Shehzad respond to that in the meantime while we pull those figures out. Go ahead, Shehzad.
Barkha, just to clarify that I could only give half an hour, so I'll have to leave after this comment.
Sure, we'll take last comments. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So this will have to be my last comment. First of all, I don't want to upset Salman's fantasies and fascination with polling numbers, especially on a day when Joe Biden to James, all of them are basking in the popularity of Prime Minister. Salman can have one figure from one poll.
Can I just say 43% for Modi as Prime Minister and 27% for Rahul? So I broadly remembered it correctly. I just wanted to bring that in. Go ahead.
Well, another figure that Salman should keep in mind is that out of the 41 state assembly elections and the 2 national elections that were held, BJP won both national elections and BJP alone by itself won 21 state elections. I don't know how many the Congress has won. Maybe it's a few on the fingertips, but maybe that's also a popularity index in a democracy like us. But having said that, let me address a few points. Now, Mr. Salman very traditionally has a problem with Savarkar ji. Maybe he should consult Uddhav ji, or maybe he should consult the letters of Indira Gandhi about Savarkar, or maybe he should consult Yashwantrao Chavan or Sharad Pawar. They will tell him who Savarkar was and what the date of 20th May, what significance it has in the freedom struggle of India. Anyways, having said that, he said that, look, we were the ones who were honoring Indian tradition. Exactly. If you were honoring Indian tradition, then why is it that the Senghor was whitewashed from the memory and consciousness of India's history and was kept in some nondescript place as a walking stick of Nehru? I mean, that is unbelievable. This is a symbolism of righteousness and dharma. It is an adhinam that has granted this divine transfer of power, and this should have been celebrated. But because of the pseudo vote bank politics that you all do, is because you have hidden away this very majestic and important piece. And therefore, today you should be celebrating if we are reviving this piece of history. But no, true to your vote bank style, you will not. And as far as the patterns are concerned, Salman, my dear friend, when a party has a parivar which names 400 schemes from toilet to airport after itself, gives itself to sitting PMs, Bharat Ratnas while they are alive, and also builds only museums and memorials for its own name, like the Rajiv Memorial and the Jawahar Memorial and the Nehru Memorial, etc., and so on and so forth. I think they should be the last ones talking about vanity. It is the Prime Minister who built a museum for all the contributions of Prime Ministers in this country, which you have not once visited. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Have you visited that museum and paid tribute to, say, the Prime Minister Narasimha Rao ji, or to any other Prime Minister, forget any non-Congressy Prime Minister? So this is the spirit in which this new parliament is coming up. And I hope that, Salman and his party will stop being petulant, will stop being immature, and will participate in the festival of democracy. Their conditional commitment to democracy, where if we lose an election, democracy is bad, and we win an election, democracy is good. If I inaugurate a building, Sonia Gandhi inaugurates a building, it is good, it is constitutional. If Prime Minister is invited by Speaker, inaugurates a building, it is bad. This kind of petulance is being seen through.
Okay, Shehzad, I know you have to go. We have to close. Salman, we'll say, Shehzad, stay 30 seconds if you can. If you can't, it's okay. I'll just get a very quick response from Salman, which is exactly this, that the Gandhi family, in a way, Salman, many people would say, cannot lecture on vanity, that this whole sort of personification of politics began with the multitude of stadia, airport schemes that were named after one or the other member of the Gandhi family. Very quick response, and then we'll say goodbye. Very quickly.
I think the real thing, Barkha, for you, your viewers, and for all Indians right now should be that there's a new parliament building being constructed, has been constructed. Very good. We all wanted to be part of it. But there is one man who wants everything about India to be about him. And we will not dignify that. We will not dignify the insult to the president of India. We will not dignify an insult to the vice president of India. That cannot happen. And that is what the Prime Minister has done. He should introspect. There is still time. There is no harm in inviting them. He can inaugurate if he wants to, although the order of precedence would not allow him. But he can, if he wants to, let him inaugurate it, but in their presence, in their gracious presence.
Shehzad, very quickly, can this still be changed?
Of this household.
I have to close. Shehzad, very quickly, can this still be changed?
Ask the Speaker. The Speaker has done this. It's not a government function. It's the Speaker's prerogative.
Shehzad, I have to say, this is not the Lok Sabha. This is Parliament. Speaker does not have jurisdiction.
Okay, I'll let Shehzad close. Shehzad, close, please.
The invitation for this entire program has gone out from the Speaker's office. I am not at liberty to put any parivar above the Speaker. I wish I could, but we follow constitutional institutions. So, Salman, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, we leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Shehzad Poonawalla, Salman Soz. The debate rages on. There are also some minor cracks now within the opposition camp. Ram Gopal Yadav of the Samajwadi Party, Acharya Pramod of the Congress, questioning this strategy in the next few days leading up to the 28th, when the Prime Minister will inaugurate the new Parliament House. I think we're going to see a lot more politics. Remember, we are in the last mile leading up to 2024, and a lot of the noise has to be understood also in that context. Leaving it there. Thank you, as ever, for watching. See you soon.
We started Mojo right here in this basement. Just 4 people, 4. And now we're about to hit our first 1 million subscribers. So this is to say thank you to all of you for your support, for your respect, and for your encouragement. We've always gone to where the story is. During the pandemic, when television's big anchors were hunkered down in their studios or at their homes, we hit the road. We traveled from Delhi to Kerala, covering 30,000 kilometers in a small car, reporting from inside ICUs and inside slum tenements. Whether it's flash floods or war zones, we've always put our boots on the ground. In fact, we're just back from Punjab, tailing the Khalistani fugitive Amritpal Singh. And through all of this, we have always put you, the people, first. In an age of partisan polarized media where most journalists are either chamcha ya morcha, we believe the story is sacred and the truth of the story is what matters. And now as we get ready for the next step, we need your help. Become a Mojo member and get first access to all our big interviews. Get a chance to ask our newsmakers questions. Get a chance to write and report for us for both our website and our channels. And also, interact with me and my colleagues directly through AMA sessions. Literally, ask me anything. Click on the join now right next to the subscribe button, and yes, also subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a Mojo member for just 159 rupees a month. Hope to see lots of you in our community.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.